ladies and gentlemen, folks, WBCR listeners. My name is Oscar Del Cabo, and welcome to Beyond the Box Score. My co-host Sean is about to come into the frame. On camera, we've got our wonderful Giselle here today. Giselle doesn't have a mic, but hopefully she's doing well. Here we are today. Sean, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How you been?
I'm doing pretty well. Can't complain at all. But this is actually a pretty kind of decent season for sports. Right now, we got the NCAA tournament. We've got NBA playoffs are about to be upon us. Baseball's starting. Baseball scandals are starting. It's just as American as apple pie.
It's a little bit of everything. It's not like the fall where it's just primarily NFL season. This is like you have towards the end of the NBA regular season, you have NCAA all at once. So it's like a little bit of everything that you get, plus the baseball season starting up, which we've covered the last few weeks here.
Yeah, there's going to be a little bit less of actually on-field baseball talk this week because we've given you guys a lot of that content as much as we love baseball.
We'll wait for the season to start to actually start discussing it more in depth.
Exactly. So, Sean, you want to start with the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, wonderful NCAA tournaments have just started. The men's and women's tournaments have just started. I don't know. So, we have so many topics we wanted to get to today. I don't know if we're going to do a rundown of each game or anything like that. But I don't know. Maybe just want to see if there's any cool trends you saw. And also kind of wanted to talk about, I don't know, just to me, I don't know if you agree with me, Sean, but just feels like men's basketball, in terms of college basketball, like college sports in general, just they're not hitting the same like they used to.
It's not, I think the issue is there's no marquee star anymore coming into this year's NBA drafts where you're like, these are the 2 or 3 guys that you're looking forward to. Like, you go back to the 2019 NBA draft, you had Zion, John Morant, R.J. Barrett, all 3 guys that were, like, marquee. And now this year it's kind of like, it's kind of dead because there's no real star that really stands out here in college. Now, I feel like that's a combination of a lot of things. There's a lot of hype for LeBron's son, Bronny. And, he had health issues earlier in the year and it hasn't really panned out for him yet. And then, other than, like, Bronny, like, you can't really ask any casual, like, college basketball fan, like, name other players, Yeah. This draft class is kind of dead.
Yeah, no, it is. And I feel like it's just, the only reason we really know about Bronny is because of who his dad is. Yeah. I feel like if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be checking for him as much. I also think that it can't really be understated enough kind of how much it kind of, I feel like there's a point where, obviously once a sport gets really popular, more eyes want to get on it. That means there's going to be more people trying to profit off of it. And sometimes that could lead to more exposure, more ways to watch it on TV, YouTube, whatever, more ways to have highlights, more articles about it, more discourse, and that's all well and good, but I think we've kind of passed that point. I think we've really just privatized this college sports too much. I think it's all becoming about maximizing profit to the point where we're starting to cut up some of the old conferences, like the Pac-12 might really not exist anymore. And when we lose that, we lose the traditions, we lose the rivalries, and that's what college sports are about. Really.
And even, like, the stars that you could point to, for example, like Zach Edey, the center in Purdue, like, stars like that have really shined in this tournament, like, none of them are college or NBA ready, in my opinion.
Right.
Like, backup center, maybe bench pieces, but most likely they'll be in the G League or they'll just have to go over to Europe. There's no, like, NBA ready talent.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because even if NBA talent does go to the college ranks, they don't stay very long at all.
Yeah.
They leave right away, which I'm not necessarily mad at because because the colleges make a lot of money off of these players and they don't give them any money.
Yeah, exactly. It's the whole one and done concept.
Yeah.
You go freshman year, 18, 19, you're in college, right? You're in the NBA by 20. And so it's interesting because just looking at this, like, NCAA bracket, like, Duke is always on top. Purdue is always there. Clemson had a nice run. They're 6th seed who's going to the Sweet 16. But it's like, none of these like games like feel like major can't miss games. I remember a few years ago, like the NCAA tournament, like I was kind of glued to my TV. Now it kind of just feels like if it's on, it's on.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like the games don't feel like must watch anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, like we've been saying, I feel like it is. It's one. It's because it's all about TV money and stuff. They're just always trying to have the best teams before the tournament. I mean, they're always trying to have the best teams always play each other, and that doesn't necessarily always make for the best college sports. The best college sports are when it's about rivalries. It's about regionality, and also those rivalries build up between players when the players are there for a while. But most of the really good players are just going to leave, and I think we can't really look away from the fact that I think that it's kind of the powers that be in college sports that have kind of created this problem. Because, hey, if you gave these guys and now girls, because the ladies are now that's popular, I'm sure they can stand to make a lot of money now too. If you were more willing to pay them and cut them into some of these profits, I'm sure a lot of them would stick around in college, because not everyone can. Even all the players on the best college teams don't always go pro or like make enough money to sustain themselves. So that's how you'd keep a lot of these people in school, and that's how you would make the tournament better. You'd make college sports better. But like I said, it's just become totally about maximizing profits, so they don't want to share. And because of that, the sport is hurt.
Yeah, the sport is hurt because, like you said earlier, guys like view college as a 1-year experience. They don't want to. It's not like they don't want to. Obviously, they do want to prove themselves, but they don't want to go above and beyond to put their body at risk for institutions that don't really care for them, other than the money that they can make off of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Another part of this too is the influence of international basketball too. You see all over Europe guys coming in left and right into the league, and a lot of them are better than the American talents. For example, like you have Luka Jokic, Giannis, who are the top three in the NBA, and they're all from Europe. Victor Wembanyama from France. It's like the international players are having more of a global impact on the game than the American players are.
Oh yeah, I'd say pretty much most of the MVP candidates we were looking at coming into the season, none of them were American. Or like, how low do we have to go on the list before we get to the American? Because I'm thinking, Giannis is European. Yeah. He's from Greece. Jokic is from Serbia. Embiid is from Cameroon.
Yeah.
I think he's probably going to switch to play for the USA, but he's not from America.
He's going to play for the U.S. in the Olympics.
And even you got some Canadian guys who are
And then you have Lucas from Slovenia.
Yep.
You have SGA from Canada.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Embiid is out of MVP candidacy because
right,
he's been out for all this time. And like the one American that you look at like the 5th or 6th spot is like Tatum, but Tatum doesn't really have any shot at winning the MVP here. So it's like this league is becoming a where the best players aren't. Obviously, there's still a lot of good American players, but the top crop talent are all outside the U.S., which is why a guy like Anthony Edwards, I feel like is going to get really pushed into the limelight here.
Yeah,
in the next couple of years, because he's like the American. He could be the American face of the league. He has the personality to do it.
Yeah, because I mean, and I'm sure the media they need that. They need like a guy who can at least maybe not be the sole face of the league, but be just at least hold the
fourth down.
Yeah, exactly. And that's interesting. It puts the media kind of in a very interesting space. But yeah, kind of like let's bring it back to college just for a sec now. But yeah, I don't know. I think if we kind of like cross over a little bit, I think the reason why the women's game is doing so well is because even though there's like the private investment is getting into the women's game now, it's getting more popular, they're still in that sweet spot where now we can watch all the games on, like most of the games on TV like we couldn't before. But it's still not, so it hasn't totally been consumed by everyone who's trying to make a quick buck. Like it still feels like it's about the rivalries, it's about the schools, it's about the players. And they market the women's players so much better.
Yeah. But honestly, that's the sweet spot, because then you don't want it. You don't want that to become like with the men. It's become a money grab situation.
Yeah.
You don't want like the WNBA or the college sports to just become, how much can they profit off of, let's say, an Angel Reeves or a Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
They're kind of in that sweet spot where it's like there's rivalries, it kind of makes sense, and it's kind of like, I don't know how I'm going to say this, women's sports in general, especially basketball, is kind of on the rise in terms of like no one really cared before, but now
It was nearly as popular. Yeah.
Within the last year or so, because of player rivalries, because of how good those top players are, it's become a popular thing.
Yeah, it just feels less robotic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know, I don't know. You kind of saw like the things pop off at the women's final last year between Iowa and LSU, and that was fun. I feel like we don't see that as much more in the, men's game. It's like like I could tell like that game meant something to those players. You know what I mean? And actually, something I saw that kind of came close to that was when North Carolina beat Duke in the ACC title game I think that was a few weeks ago now. And that looked like there was animosity. They were hyped for that. The fans were chirping each other and stuff, and that's what college sports should be about.
Exactly. And then it's interesting because like who like in this tournament, like from the men's bracket, right? Other than like UConn, there's no team to me that's like great.
Yeah,
UConn to me is like the only like standout great team that I see here.
I liked what I saw from Houston. I was watching that game yesterday, and even though A&M came, that was actually a really good game when A&M came back to tie it in the last second, literally last second. That was a good game, but I liked what I saw from Houston. Honestly, I did like what I saw. But yeah, I do agree. I think UConn are still the favorite, just from what I've seen. And actually, we can't forget Purdue though. Purdue are good, but I think it'll be one of those three.
It'll be. You don't think Duke could find a way to win again?
I mean, I watched that game too. They thrashed Madison, but I don't know. I don't think they're just not as. To me, they're not as scary as they used to be. Like I don't know. I saw like and like I said, it was a rivalry game, so sometimes they inspire you more. But North Carolina put them to bed and stuff in the final. So I don't know. They're just not as scary to me as they used to be with like Coach K and stuff.
A few nights ago, it was Saturday night, Creighton and Baylor went to a nice double overtime game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Baylor was able to keep it close, and then in the second half, Creighton just won on like a 12-0 run. Just won the game in like a matter of like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So Tennessee is another good team. I haven't really watched them.
No, I didn't manage to catch that game. Unfortunately, I was out and about.
But Creighton, Tennessee's a good game.
Yeah, I'm excited. Well, yeah. We'll finish up the college basketball with which matchups are you most excited for next round?
Most excited for next round is probably UNC and Marquette.
Ooh.
NC State and Marquette.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's gonna be
Marquette's another good team.
Yeah.
They're actually like legit this year. It kind of felt like last few years they were hanging around like that 9-10 seed, but now it's kind of like they've had that resurgence.
Yeah. No, they've got a nice little generation. I'm excited to see. I know this is on Friday, but I'm excited to see Duke Houston. I think that's going to be a good game. I think that's going to be a really good game. Yeah, no, I think that's going to be great. But I don't know. Let us know in the comments what you guys are looking forward to, folks. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll do. I think we'll do more in-depth like game reactions maybe when we get
We'll keep tabs on it the next 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Because next week is April 1st, and then the finals is April 8th.
Yeah, it's gonna get
Monday.
So, it's gonna get good.
Well, on April 8th, we'll probably do a breakdown and predictions of the finals. Who we think will win.
Yep.
But moving on from NCAA to the NBA, the Houston Rockets are on the rise.
Yeah, Sean. I was wondering, could you kind of tell me and the people at home like. So they are currently where's that record? Is it 10-1 in their last?
They're 10-1. They've won 10 of the last 11.
Okay.
And they are at a 35-35 record.
So, tell me and the folks at home, like, what do you think are the keys to this really good run?
I think what happened here was, honestly, it starts with Jalen Green. Jalen Green has had the ability here to just score at a level he's never been able to score at. And you just see the confidence in his game really rising. And now I feel like a big part of that, too, is this is his contract year, so he's definitely playing for that money, which is fine, which is perfectly cool. And so I feel like he's been able to gain the confidence of not just being a chucker, not just being a guy that's out of place, but a guy that's making a concentrated effort to actually make a positive impact on the team. Another guy here that's been balling out recently is Fred VanVleet. The other night against the Jazz, which we just watched highlights of, he had 10 3-pointers.
Wow.
Yeah, so I just feel like
They destroyed the Jazz.
yeah. I just feel like this team has finally understood what they are, where they come from. They understand that they're young, but I feel like they do want this final play-in spot to get that 10 seed, and it's worth mentioning they're only a game behind the Warriors because let's be honest, if they're out the they're out the play-in and they have to get a lottery pick, like this draft kind of is what it is. There's not really much assets there, so. Given that the team is young, I wouldn't mind them trying to fight for a playoff spot.
Yeah. Okay, sounds great. Draymond Green said he wasn't afraid of the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, well, maybe the Warriors could win.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, he doesn't choke anyone. I don't know. But I don't know, do you think this would you say this is this Jalen Green's like real breakout season as like a as a real professional?
Yeah, we saw
second overall pick.
We saw glimpses of it early in the season, but this is like the first time in his career where he's really made that true run.
Yeah.
Because like he'll have one good game and then the next game he'll shoot 5 for 22, and then it's just like it was too much up and down, but now he's starting to play better and is trying to translate to his team's winning. And like I said, there's veterans on this team too. Fred VanVleet, also Dylan Brooks. Now I know Dylan Brooks gets a bad rap, but he's someone there with playoff experience.
And hasn't been bad this year.
No, he's been solid. You know, the on-court tactics have been limited. It's only happened here and there. And another key part of this Rocket situation, which kind of goes back to 2 years ago, is Ime Udoka, their head coach. And Ime this is the second time where he's taken the team that has struggled in the middle of the regular season and towards the end of the regular season has really made that push. We saw this 2 years ago with the Celtics. After 50 games last year, the Celtics were 25-25. They finished the season 51-31. And what happened there is Ime is the type of guy that goes after his players, that calls them out, like, you got to do this and this better, And that's what happened with the Celtics. He called out Jason Tatum, called out Jaylen Brown, called out Marcus Smart, and being like, you guys are way too talented to play at a level like this. And I feel like this, especially with Jalen Green, I feel like that's kind of what happened. Ime probably took him to the side, like, look, you're a good player, but you got to cut out all these dumb mistakes that you're making. And
it's like this is your team.
Like you, not that this is his team, but he's the future of this team.
Yeah.
So I feel like finally the Rockets are in a place now where this is kind of they're in a perfect spot here because they weren't expected to be here, and it's only gravy if they're able to make that final play-in spot. And hey, if they're able to get a 8 seed and play the Nuggets in the first round or the Thunder, they'll probably lose. But hey,
experience.
It's playoff experience, and it's playoff experience for a really young team that could really use it instead of just losing and getting yet another pick when your team is still really good.
Right. So do you think, I don't know, can you see Jalen Green kind of, I don't know if like, say like, developing into like, I don't know, just single-handedly taking them somewhere special, but can you see him being like the key piece, like a real leader on a team that can go deep in the playoffs? I mean, he's only 22.
He's only 22. To be the leader means you have to be like the focal point, be also the vocal leader,
Yeah.
Gather the team around you. And honestly, Jalen Green,
or at least lead by example.
Yeah, nothing against him, but he's not that type of guy.
Okay.
He's that type of guy where it's like he'll get you what you need, but he's not gonna rally the troops and get the whole team together.
Okay.
That's more so for like the vets on the team.
Yeah. Like I said, he's only 22.
Yeah.
I also saw like, I don't know, I've seen a lot of talk about just his overall game developing too. Like I know he's been getting a lot better defensively.
Yeah, he what's happened here is he's able to how am I gonna explain this? He's not losing the man as much as he used to. Like people just used to
concentration.
Yeah. People used to just blow by him easily, but that's not the thing. Now, what I think also helped with that is having a defensive background with guys that know how to do it, and so I feel like his game has also become more one-dimensional on the offensive end for him to be able to thrive with that and just lift his game up like that. But it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with this Rockets team. Also of note, Alperen Sengun really hurt himself. I think it was a knee or ankle injury forget off the top of my head. He's probably missed the rest of the year, and after that, people are like, yeah, that's it for the Rockets. You know, they lost Alperen Sengun, and after he left, after he got hurt, this whole team just flipped the book on what their season was.
And do you think that is that just kind of just coincidental, or do you think that some of it? Do you think that they actually became better without him in the lineup?
I think what happened was with Sengun in the lineup, they were focused too much on playing around him, making him better. Where it's now without him there, they need everyone to chip in, and that's what kind of led to the winning. Now, obviously, that's not his fault, you know.
Right.
He's the star of the team. He's who they wanted to build around. That's all cool. But without him there, it makes the other guys step up. It makes guys like Fred VanVleet step up, Jabari Smith, Dylan Brooks. It makes guys like that who didn't get the opportunity before to now get it and be able to thrive in it.
Okay. There you go. Well, I mean, I think it's also a good way to kind of look. It's a good problem to have, you know, because when he comes back, even if, you know, maybe it's not this season or this playoffs, you know, hopefully with the coach who's as heralded as Udoka is, hopefully he'll be able, you know, that's what he gets paid for. Figure it out, you know, find a way to get all these guys, like, you know, link him and Green up together and like really develop that chemistry.
And no one's ever said this Rockets team was bad. It was just never meant to be a winning team, and that's fine because they had all those young players who had no experience. And yeah, you might think like all these top draft picks are cool and all, but you're gonna need veterans in there. And they did pay a lot for VanVleet. They gave him 3 years, $90 million, but it's worth it if you're gonna win.
Yes.
You know, and also note they gave Dylan Brooks 4 for $80.
Yeah.
Which was another massive overpay, but hey, it's paying off because those guys that have been there, done that. VanVleet's an NBA champion after all.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is also where it's like, it's cool to have all those young stars, but you need someone there to lead them by example. Yeah. And though a guy like Jalen Green is not there yet, he has someone to show him the way. Yeah,
I think it can't be overstated enough that, you know, that could be a lot for a young person. It helps to have older guys who can take, even just like, not even on the court, but like off the court, like, you know, just take some of the media and spotlight off of you.
Like you look at like Charlotte and Detroit, like Cade, like he's a good player, but there's no real vets on that team for him to like rely on, you know? Exactly. It's Evan Fournier and that's really it. Right. And then you have the Hornets where it's like LaMelo who's been hurt all year, but even with LaMelo playing, it's like it's a team that doesn't know what they're doing. Yeah, yeah. That's also what it is. It's like the Rockets are playing with a purpose.
Yeah, well, I see a vision.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
I see. They got a plan. Yeah. They got 2 good young, like really talented young players who they're building around. And damn, imagine if they had gotten Wemby, man, like they were hoping. That would be insane.
Yeah. Instead, Wemby is stuck in San Antonio purgatory.
Yeah.
Actually, real quick on Wemby. Wemby is insane. Yeah. Wemby is phenomenal. And to think that this is going to be his worst year, because he's only going to get better.
Yeah, man. It's ridiculous, bro. I don't really...
The stuff he does just makes no sense.
There's not really a weakness in his game.
And he's averaging, what, 20 points, 10 boards, like 4 or 5 blocks a game.
Yeah.
And he's just figuring stuff out, and he wants to win. Yeah. He plays like he wants to win. It's not just, I'm going to take this possession off, that possession off. Like, he really tries.
He's got that dog in him, man. Yeah. And I don't know, dude, like, bro, he blocks people's shots and, like, he can block people going up for layups without jumping. Like, dude, that's absurd.
He caught a lob that was going towards out of bounds. He caught it with one hand off the side and just dunked it. I'm like, how? Like, that's not humanly possible.
Yeah. No, he's like... Yeah, no, he's built like the Xenomorph from Alien.
And then, like... Also, with, like, the Lakers and the Warriors, people are like, are the Lakers and the Warriors going to make a run?
Literally, Wemby.
Yeah. That's literally Wemby. Just skinny and long.
Yeah, no, that man is such a demon, bro.
Yeah. Skinny and
he's also in San Antonio, so there's not a lot to distract him, right? Off the court.
No.
Imagine being from Paris and then you got to move to San Antonio. I mean, I don't know. There's worse reasons to have to move, but than being the #1 overall pick in the future face of the league. But like, I don't know, that guy, man. Oh. Yeah. I'm just we're blessed. We're gonna be able to watch his whole career unfold.
Yeah. Just obviously with injury, obviously knock on wood with the guy with size like that.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that can stop him is his own body betraying him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Like,
exactly.
that's
But The mistakes he's making now are all going to get solved with time, with experience.
Exactly. Like I was talking to my friend about this the other day, and there's not really something like anything that I see that's a bit of a weakness. I'm just like, yeah, some more experience, he'll be fine with that. Like
Yeah.
I don't see anything that can really be heavily exploited in this game, or at least on paper. I just don't see it. It doesn't.
Like like guys with size could go at him easily, could back him down, but that's all gonna come with time. It's not like the little mistakes aren't what makes or what's gonna make or break his career. It's just
some of the nastier centers can still give him a really hard time, but I don't know. I mean, also, I guess he just goes to the weight room for a little bit, but he also doesn't. Like he shouldn't work out that much. He doesn't need to be that much more heavy, in my opinion.
No.
Like he's like,
but like with muscle, not like
exactly,
yeah. And also the thing the Spurs do have to work on though is getting a better roster around him.
Oh yeah, no, of course.
Because how many times do I see Jeremy Sohan starting games and he's looking to score instead of giving the ball to Wemby who's just by himself in the paint?
Yeah, no, they have like a few players too who like whenever I look at their roster, I'm just like, oh, he's still in the league, like kind of guys, you know what I mean?
It's guys that are good, but guys that aren't going to complement Wemby, and that's all the Spurs should be worrying about.
I think you're being very kind saying that they're guys who are good, but because there's some genuine guys who I'm like, oh, you're still in the league, bro. Like,
true.
I thought you would have gone to Monaco by now, but
I mean, Trey Jones tries to set up Wemby, but it's bad.
Yeah.
It's a team that just shoot the ball.
Exactly.
It's not when you have a guy that big, that good. Like how are you just feeding him every possession?
Yeah. No. I mean, this guy's the limit for him.
Yeah.
This guy's the absolute limit. Any more NBA subjects you want to talk about, John?
Just one thing real quick.
Yeah. What's up?
The Celtics, as of last night, clinched the first seed in the Eastern Conference.
Oh, damn.
And no other team in the East has yet to clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah, no other team in the league.
No other team in the league. Sorry.
Yeah,
no other team in the league has yet to clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah. No, it's crazy, man.
It's looking more than likely that they'll either play the Heat or the Sixers in the first round.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. How do you feel about the Celtics going into the playoffs, man?
I like it. I'm ready for this regular season to be over. Just get the playoffs started.
Yeah, you may be a little bit worried that since they won't really be playing as competitive, since they're, if they already clinched the first seed, are you kind of worried that maybe they'll shut off a little bit before the playoffs?
There's going to be.
Because I'm looking at the schedule, and there's only a couple good teams here.
It's easy.
Like there's some very easy teams. Hawks, that's easy. Pelicans will be tough. Hornets, easy. Thunder, maybe cool game. Kings could be a cool game, but then you got Blaze. Oh, Bucks, I didn't see that. Yeah. And the Knicks. Oh, that could be fun. Yeah. So at least at least you got games, even though there's not a whole lot of stakes in the standings, but it's like games you can be like, oh, these are teams we're playing in the playoffs. Let's not fall asleep.
And they're already starting to do it, where it's like Jaylen Brown rests one game, Tatum rests the next, Porzingis rests one, Al Horford. They're already like interchanging guys in and out the lineup.
Yeah.
They'll probably wait for the last 3-4 games just to completely shut everyone down. Mm-hmm. They still probably want to get their reps. And Drew Holiday's hurt right now, which is another thing of note because he has something called dead arm, where it's like he kind of lost feeling in his arm.
Yeah.
So he even said he wants to just get back, just play a few more games in the regular season, just to get the reps in before the playoffs, which is important because coming off an injury and going right into a playoff game isn't going to end well.
Usually doesn't work out.
The Celtics team just going to need reps here to close out the year, to close out the regular season, and just make a playoff run because this is the team to do it. If they don't win with this team, I don't know if they'll win with another team.
They've just been on the clock for the past. To me, ever since they lost in the finals to the Warriors, it's just been. Now it's like don't get me wrong, regular season this is all, but in bigger picture you got to win. Now you got to win. Like you got no excuse really.
Yeah.
But that being said, I don't know. I feel like people aren't really talking about the Nuggets enough.
It's crazy because they're the reigning champs.
Yeah, because that's the thing. A lot of people don't talk about them like they are.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about them like they're not the reigning champs and the first place in the West right now.
True. Because you know what it is? It's like a guy like Jokic isn't media savvy. Jamal Murray, it's another weird case too because he kind of gets forgotten about. Mm-hmm. But dude, there's no better team in the last five. There's no team that I'd rather have in the last 5 minutes than this team.
Yeah.
Of the game, they know what to do.
Yeah, they're so good. I also think maybe Denver's just not the flashiest franchise or something. It's not like the Lakers or the Celtics or like the Knicks.
Or it's like, you know what also kind of sucks when you play against the Nuggets?
What's that?
When you have like Jokic and Murray not having good games but not as great as they're used to. And then you have Michael Porter Jr. go like 12 for 14 from the field. Yeah. Like having that third guy kill you against a team like this, it's like, damn.
Yeah, no, they've got a lot of guys on that team who can hurt. Yeah, like you said, they can hurt you.
And I've seen it so many times. Little errors against this team add up.
Yeah.
Whether it's missed free throws, turnovers, whatever it might be, little mistakes throughout the game add up against this team.
But yeah, they just don't lose their cool.
Yeah, you have to play almost flawless.
Which is kind of
to beat them in like a playoff series.
Which is what I'm worried about if the Celtics play, because the Celtics will kind of lose their heads a lot, you know.
The Celtics, like they go into too much ISO sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like they slow the game down when they shouldn't.
Yeah. But hey, with that being said, we're gonna keep you guys posted on all the things that are going on in the NBA. It's like great. It's crunch time. This is great. I love this. This is a great part of the season.
3 weeks left in the regular season.
Then
we'll have the play and then the playoffs.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really fun. God, I love NBA playoff time, man. Spring, summer, it's so great. It's beautiful stuff.
Like spring break correlates with the start of NBA playoffs.
Oh yeah. No, that's amazing. Hey man, like, and I'm not even like the Nets aren't gonna make the playoffs, and I'm not even like a Knicks fan, man. But it's gonna be really special to be. It's like if the Knicks have a good, like if the Knicks are still in the playoffs when the weather is nice outside, the city is gonna be a great place to be, man. It's gonna be crazy.
They have to get that. They have to get that home court advantage in the first round.
Yeah.
Game 1 in MSG, it's magical.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be really. That's a team you won't want to play on the road.
Speaking of which, they're only half game out of the third seed behind the Cavs, so they could also get the third seed.
Yeah,
there.
That's very true.
That 3-5 right there is a little crunched up with the Cavs, Knicks, and Magic. The Magic, another team who have like no pressure whatsoever on them to win.
Yeah,
it's just a really good team filled with young players that know what they're doing.
Well, it's a transitional time of the NBA. Seeing the older heads kind of leave and the younger guys come in, it's all great.
Like it's crazy to see a guy like Stephen Curry barely hang on for a playoff spot.
Yeah, and they're only hanging on like because of him.
Yeah, literally because of him.
Yeah.
And then you have like all these young teams, the Pelicans too, the Timberwolves, the Thunder.
Yeah.
It's definitely a changing of the guard of what we expect the regular season to be like.
Yeah, I mean, we might not see Steph or LeBron in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
Because they could both lose in the play-in.
Yeah. All right, but so you transition?
Yeah.
We done with NBA? All right.
That was good.
So we're going to move over to some soccer talks and football for some of you guys. You know, some we don't talk about too often here, but last night so it's the international break right now. In case you guys didn't know, there's no club soccer. It's about the international teams, countries versus countries. And last night, the United States beat Mexico in the Nations League final. Which is a bit of a Mickey Mouse tournament, but it only came around like a year ago or like 2 years ago, something like that. Actually, oh no, now 3. God, where's the time gone? But anyways, whenever the U.S. It's to me, other than Argentina versus Brazil, maybe Germany versus the Netherlands, this is the best rivalry in international soccer, in my opinion. You know, you could tell the fans get into it. The players don't really like each other. But for the past few years, it hasn't been too much of a rivalry. The last time Mexico beat the U.S. in a competitive game was the 2019 CONCACAF Gold Cup final, which they won 1-0. And, you know, they haven't, like, you know, global pandemics kind of got in the way and stuff, but they have played a few times since then. And the U.S. has beaten them almost every time. See, in Mexico, they beat the U.S. in a friendly in New Jersey in 2019 too. But since then, it's been the U.S. winning and there are 2 draws in between then. But one of those was a qualifier and one of those was a friendly. And everything else, the U.S. has just been beating Mexico. And that's, for me, you know, I've been a soccer fan my whole life. And I've never To me, I've always been more of a fan of the rivalry more than I've been a fan of like the U.S. or either team. To be honest, like I don't know, like I've never had any animosity towards the Mexican national team. Like my dad lived in Mexico for a long time, so he always rooted. He liked Mexico. He always rooted for the Mexican national team after Spain and Italy, and I've always loved their players too. Oh yeah,
Yeah, keep on.
yeah. But right now, this isn't really a rivalry. The U.S., their new generation of, Christian Pulisic, Timothy Weah, Gio Reyna, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie. This generation's here, and they're making a lot of noise. And quite frankly, I'm just looking at, and even guys on the bench, who don't get as much shine, Haji Wright, Brendan Aronson, Balogun, Pepe. We got depth. Not only do we have depth, we've got real, we've got guys who are playing in the Champions League, playing for top teams in Europe. And you look at the other side, in Mexico, there's always been the U.S.'s big brother. I'm looking at their players, man, and the quality is just not at all the same. The Mexico's best player is Edson Alvarez, who's a great player. I'm a big fan of his. He's a great defensive midfielder. He plays for West Ham. He's been killing it in the Premier League. But you can't move forward with a defensive midfielder as your best player, unless he's the best player, like you're the best defensive midfielder in the world. Because, it's like trying to build an NBA title around, the best defender in the league, who can sometimes be the best scorer, but you know what I mean? It's like I don't know. You wouldn't, if Brook Lopez is your best player, it's probably not the best. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like he brings that one great thing, but you need someone to produce offensively.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Chucky Lozano was once a player who I had really, really high hopes for, but his career has kind of gone down the toilet, man. He's 28, back in the Netherlands after, some time in Napoli where he, solidified himself as a club legend for winning the league in the last season, but he wasn't a big factor. He didn't score very much. He was supposed to be the future Diego Lainez, who I thought was going to be a great player once. His career has totally gone down the toilet. Like, he's, I think, barely starting for teams in Mexico now, let alone getting into, top teams in Europe and stuff. So, yeah, it's I don't know. I feel bad for the Mexican national team because the soccer is always better with a good Mexico team.
Yeah.
But let's flip over. I think this is the best time for U.S. soccer we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
We've never had a player like Christian Pulisic before, growing up. And, what were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say it's interesting how, with the U.S. team, it's interesting how it's, not as star-heavy as it used to be, but there's still, those marquee guys. And going back to their games with Mexico where they've recently won just a bunch of them, I was going to ask you, do you think, you said that there's a blood rivalry between those teams, right?
The big rivalry, yeah.
But, this tournament currently, do you think, teams in general really care about it, or?
No, not necessarily. You'll see a lot of kind of them play kind of weaker teams, like backup players and stuff, but when you get to the final and it's USA versus Mexico, that game always matters. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where it's doesn't matter how good one team is, how bad the other team's doing, or what stage they're in. It could be a friendly too. You're always going to see the players chirping at each other,
right,
yelling at each other, getting into little scraps and stuff. It's just always like that. When it's a rivalry this big, there's never a game that doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so, from this tournament, right? Mm-hmm. And so, how do you compare it to other tournaments in terms of importance?
It's for me, it's not as important as the Gold Cup, which is another regional tournament we have, because the Gold Cup's just older, but now they're basically the same thing. I don't really get it. Maybe that's a conversation for a different day. I think it's kind of silly to have both of them. I think we should just have one. But obviously, look, what's the biggest single sporting event in the world? It's the World Cup.
Right.
The U.S. And like I said, this is kind of also the sad thing about this rivalry, the state of Mexican soccer, is now it's really hard for the U.S. to have a real litmus test in the, against, because now when they go to play the top teams in South America and Europe, it's unless we schedule a friendly, we're not playing competitive games against really top teams. And I don't know. I think sticking with our current coach, Greg Berhalter, though I think he's done good things. I like how he's gotten the young players who they used to be young. Now they're like in the prime, like players like Pulisic, Adams, McKennie. Like he's the one who really brought those guys into the, like he made the veterans kind of leave and brought in the young guys. So he deserves nothing but credit for that. But I think as long as you've got that guy as your coach, you're not gonna I don't think we're gonna win a knockout game at the World Cup. You know what I mean? Like we'll make it past the group stage, but it'll be the same thing as last time. We lose in the round of 16. In my opinion.
Of like all like international teams, right? Who would you say is like the best team right now?
Right now, man, I don't know. Right now, it's hard to look past France.
Yeah.
Like I kind of hate to say it, but they're so good.
They're like the staple of like.
Yeah, they just have so much depth, bro. Like and I mean, you've got the best player in the world in Mbappe. You've got Griezmann, who's one of the best players in the world. It's just a stacked team, a good coach, and a bunch of players who have played together, and they just know what to do. Then they've been there and done that before. Even the young players, like Mbappe won his first World Cup. I say he hasn't won a second one yet, but he's probably going to win another one. So he won that when he was like 18 for the first time. So he has the experience of even though he's like, how old is he now? 26, I think.
27.
Yeah, he might be 27 now, but like he has the experience of like a 35-year-old player. You know what I mean? Like he's been playing
because from that young age he was already in like competitive games. It wasn't like he was like doing these scrimmages or
Champions League finals, World Cup finals. It's just
It wasn't like he was in the league to get to the main stage. He was in the main stage from the get go.
Exactly, and even though France did lose the other day to Germany, I think that was mostly, I don't know, it was just a friendly. There's nothing on the line really. And France, you could see like they kind of experimented with some, like not all of these players you see in this lineup are starters. Like they didn't have their first choice goalie, they didn't have one of their first choice center backs, and Germany basically played their first choice team. And it wasn't even like they won 2-0, but they didn't dominate them, So it's like, I think France are in a really good position. England are really good too.
Yeah, England.
I mean, you've got Harry Kane. I think is the problem. I think he deserves. I think he's going to be Player of the Year if he keeps it up. He's got. Let me peep his stats. Off the top of my head, I forget because he literally won't stop scoring. But in the Bundesliga and the German league, in 26 games, he has scored 31 goals, and he has 7 assists. So yeah, he's scoring at. This is like a record-breaking rate, So I don't know. I think because the Euros are this summer, and if we're talking favorites for those tournaments, I think it's definitely going to come down to France or England. But I guess maybe I'll talk a little bit more about the game itself for a few more minutes, and then we can move on. But that's also here's the thing I want to say about the game last night, the U.S.-Mexico game. So I had to go back to that, but like U.S. and Mexico, like usually when the U.S. would beat Mexico, it would be because all their players played like damn near a perfect game. Like they defended amazingly, they countered really well. And though the U.S. played pretty well last night, it wasn't a vintage display. It's not like they missed chances. Like they should have beaten them by 2 more goals, I think. Which is, I don't know, just kind of sad. It's like it used to take everything the U.S. had to beat Mexico, and there used to be their older brother.
Where it's like that back and forth competition, like I'm better.
Exactly.
They even Steven, like who could outdo the other. But now it's just kind of like
it's kind of stale, and it's a little bit sad.
And honestly, it's not like the U.S. has gotten much better.
Yeah, well, I think they've definitely compared to when,
compared to like a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely. I think we're definitely better than we were before. Like I don't know, I think this generation is really talented. Like this new generation of players, they play at higher levels at earlier ages than we've ever done before, and you're not really seeing that with the Mexican players. It's just like there's only 1 or 2, which is a shame. I think a big part of it is MLS teams like the American Canadian League. They're a lot more willing to let their best young players leave for really cheap prices. Right. And also it's a work visa issue. Sometimes Mexican players can't get the visa they need to play in European academies and stuff. So it's tough. But I don't know. Hopefully the rivalry just gets healthier. I love I've always loved Mexican soccer. I hope it, gets back to where it should be. Because they're, I don't know, it wouldn't be the same without them. But you want to transition? Close out the show with
Want to go to Ohtani?
Yeah. So this
The
story
gambler.
this story is wild, bro. Well, first the news broke that, and they like, I think Ohtani's people tried to make it seem that, like, first there's like he lent him the money, and then it was like, oh no, my translator stole the money. But I'm sorry, if you want us to believe that last one,
The translator stole the money?
yeah, I mean,
No.
like, bro, like how? There's no. I'm sorry. Maybe your accountant can steal
Yeah.
$4.5 million from you. Your Who's giving your like? I understand, like, translators do a lot for these guys. I'm sure he helps them read legal documents and things of that nature. But this idea that, like, he did like some heist style thing where he
No.
like could, yeah, no. I don't know. I don't want to. We gotta wait for more things to emerge and stuff, but
that's also like, how? Because what was the totals? 4 million.
yeah, it was $4.5
It was
million.
4.5 million.
And
If even if Ohtani was doing what he was doing,
'Cause
if Ohtani was complicit, 1 second, sorry.
yeah,
If Ohtani was complicit, how do you let it get to 4 million?
it was also because and like we know that it was Ohtani's bank account that was transferring money to this illegal bookie.
Right.
I forget his exact. I think it was Matt something. I forget the.
Oh
exact.
yeah, it was right from his account.
Yeah, it was straight from Shohei's account. So they're trying to lead us to believe that this they were trying to imply that this translator was
Had
access to Shohei Ohtani's bank account and was sending him with. And I don't know, but I don't care how much money you have. There's no way no one. Also, you have people who would work for you who would be like, "Yo, bro, you just lost like almost $5 million just a few seconds ago. Like, what's going on there? Like, there's no way.
No one would have picked up on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like if they were to able to do it, like if they were to able to like assemble a scheme, where it's like it goes from Shohei's account to the interpreter's account to the gambling, then okay, but no.
Yeah, exactly.
It just
and
doesn't.
if it is
That
true
argument just
that
doesn't
your
make sense.
translator can rob you, Mr. Ohtani, we'll delete that last part. We'll say, Mr. Ohtani, I would very much like to work for you, sir. And I'm not greedy, man.
I'll forward my resume
Yeah, exactly.
to the MLB.
Yeah. And, hey, bro, I'm not greedy. I don't need that much. Just give me. I'll just steal like 500K, 800K, man. We'll be good. I'm better than your last guy.
If you want to give me $1 million, sure. A million's less than 4.5.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think. I mean. Look, and also like another storyline that has been kind of circulating through media is that Ipe, I forget his last name. I couldn't really pronounce it, but so I'll call the translator. I'll refer to him by I think it's Ipe is his first name, or maybe it's his last name. I kind of forget. But so they're also kind of trying to make it seem like, oh, Ipe was just in so much gambling debt that Shohei was just being a really great friend and coming to help him. And I'm not sure. I don't really believe that either, because like, dude. Like, I don't know. I'm not a gambler. Like, it's not really my thing.
Yeah,
I don't really do it a lot, and I certainly it's legal in New York, so I don't know what it's like to have an underground illegal bookie. But I think I know enough to say that no one. I know like a translator for an MLB player probably gets paid an okay amount, but there's no way in hell that a bookie is going to give you $5 million in credit. Because if you're in debt, that means he gave you credit. Yeah. And no one's going to give a translator $5 million in credit. I don't believe that. I'm sorry.
Like, this was from 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Dodgers say the plan is for Shohei Ohtani today. The plan for him today is to speak in order to issue a statement on the gambling situation, and he does not intend to take questions.
Yeah, no, I think he's just going to read a statement.
He's going to read a pre-prepared statement, which. Sure, I mean, that's always been done, but...
Yeah, I mean, hey, nothing will reassure the public that there's nothing fishy going on more than you not answering questions. Yeah, that's really...
Not wanting to be asked on the spot what's going on,
I don't know, this is just...
Dude, this could completely undo it.
This kid completely just ruined his
I mean,
career.
this isn't. I mean, he might be in some deep
Dude,
doo-doo, man.
This is bad.
Y'all know this is very. I mean, this is also the face of baseball. This could be the GOAT. And, I mean, on one hand, it's like, will the MLB really pursue an investigation on this guy? Because, like, bro, if you have to suspend Shohei for a year or two, bro, that's gonna be horrible for the sport.
Because what was I gonna say? It's interesting because if it was just a average baseball player, then whatever.
Yeah, no one would care. Yeah.
This is your biggest baseball star because we've seen this happen a lot in the NFL too.
Mm-hmm.
Most recently, Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
Last year was suspended for gambling, but it's not like it's not like a CMC or Patrick Mahomes was to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a talking point amongst NFL fans, but it wasn't really a mainstream story. It being Shohei Ohtani, a star of his magnitude, is what makes it a mainstream story, and it's not a good look on him, and it's not a good look on the MLB either.
Yeah, no, it's not a good look at all. And don't get me wrong. I mean, if it's true that he was just gambling that much off the books and sending it from his personal bank account, like, I think that's pretty dumb. Like, I think that's really dumb. Like, I don't know. Like, if you're betting on other sports, I guess I'm not really like I guess it's not that big of a deal. But still, I don't know, bro. Just like you got a giant contract, you not have enough money. I don't know. Like, it's just like, yeah. But on the other hand, but let's also I'm not even talking about the individual. Like, I don't know. It's kind of funny to roast him because that is like a boneheaded thing to do. But I think we also got to think of like. You're seeing it more happen, like Calvin Ridley getting caught now. Whatever's going to happen to Shohei. But to that, I also say it's like, bro, we're marrying professional sports and gambling together like we've never done before. And I don't know what people are kind of expecting to happen. Because it's like, bro, I don't know if you've seen ESPN, Fox Sports recently, but every segment it's brought to you by DraftKings or like something like
DraftKings, BetMGM.
Yeah, and it's
it's pushed
every 5 seconds.
Pushed down FanDuel. It's pushed down everywhere.
Yeah.
It's pushed down sports podcasts. It's pushed down on commercials during games.
And yeah, I think this is inevitably going to happen when you just try and bring the two together so closely. And now I don't think gambling
because now you're flying too close to the sun, and now you have one of your own stars gambling on your own sport.
Exactly, and I'm also kind of worried for like, because I don't know, addiction is a very real thing. It's an illness, and if there's a lot of these pro athletes and people, not just athletes, like regular civilians, because man, they're all selling you those those apps. And apps are by nature designed to be addictive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're designed to keep you on there all day. So I think I don't want to like scare our audience out there too much, but we could deal with like a whole generation that's just addicted to gambling.
Like for example, like even the interface of any given app, like social media, for example, it's addicting the way it's constructed.
Yeah.
It makes it so it's addicting. And like for gambling, for example, just on a everyday basis for someone, you win, you want to win more. You lose, you want to make up for your loss.
There's so many sports, so many games. Yeah.
There's like you could literally bet on everything.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you could sit at home on your computer and just bet on sports all day. Yeah. Some people do that.
Like that's your 9 to 5.
Yeah, some people do that for a living. I don't know. I guess you can make money, but to me that's just kind of depressing. I don't know. Yeah. Like, I just wouldn't really want to live like that. But I don't know. And it's also how can we expect sports media to appropriately cover all the addiction, all the problems that come with gambling if so many of the major news networks are getting money from gambling companies? They're going to have, muzzle orders to like, they're not going to be able to say certain things about gambling.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's the fallout of this. It's not going to be good for Ohtani.
We'll see. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man. I think Ippei's taking the fall. Yeah. I think that's definitely what they've decided.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Poor guy has to ruin his reputation.
I kind of forget but I think didn't Barry Bonds have a homeboy who went to like jail for him or something like that? Yeah, like.
Hey, this opens the door now for Pete Rose.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I mean,
Hall of Fame
if Ippei takes the fall for this, man, he's definitely first ballot homeboy Hall of Fame. Like taking the bullet for his friend. Yeah.
Like that's a friend for you. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Ohtani better buy him like a house and stuff when he like gets out. I mean, like I don't know.
Like Just imagine someone coming up to you and being like, "Yeah, I'm $4 million in debt."
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna be like, "Yeah, here, I'll cover up for you." Like,
Yeah. That see also like there is also like, not all of it is malicious, but I also see like, kind of some like very low key like racism and xenophobia where they're just like, yeah, bro, he's Japanese, he's honorable. Of course he'd give him $4.5 million. I'm like, no, like no, I don't think.
They never commit crimes.
Yeah,
No.
it's also exactly. We also here in the West, we also say a bunch of BS about honor and stuff that we don't mean, like
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out next few days after this after he reads this statement, just to see the backlash that comes out of it.
Yeah, and it's a developing news story, so we're gonna keep you up to date with it.
It's definitely a talking point for next week too.
And this isn't going away anytime soon.
No.
This is gonna be a big story for at least a couple months.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They might try their best to sweep this under the rug, but
yeah, it's out there too much for that to happen.
Oh yeah.
It's out there way too much.
Like we said many times, this was just, even if it was like a mid-tier player, maybe even like a lower tier all-star player, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But this is the face of the sport.
This is your guy,
who's just now he's actually on a good team for the first time in his career, going to be in the playoffs most likely, and he might not be able to be there. And that's going to be really bad for baseball. I don't know. All the suits at MLB right now are like shitting, freaking out.
Yeah.
Losing their mind.
It's bad.
Oh, God. But like we said, a lot of this, we don't know the exact details, so...
We gotta wait for everything to come out to, see exactly what happened.
Exactly.
But just on the surface from the information we have now, it doesn't look good for Ohtani, especially because it looks like his interpreters are just gonna cover up for him.
Hey, this absolves us of any legal thing. Yeah. Allegedly.
Yes. Let's put that out there. Yeah.
If allegedly, if Ohtani isn't, if it was him getting caught doing this, I think Ippei's taken the fall. I think the translator's definitely taken the fall. Yeah. It happens in sports all the time.
Yeah, and look, it makes sense to do that.
Yeah,
because
I guess hopefully, if Shohei rewards him greatly, then I guess it would be worth it. But Lozano, let me make it clear. Me personally, I don't know, maybe it's too political, but I don't think I certainly don't want to see anyone go to jail over this. For gambling, no, that should never happen.
No, it's just it's not a good practice.
It's not really as much of a problem with the legal consequences as it's the integrity.
Exactly. It's not like he's gonna go to prison for life.
Exactly.
Guilty. No.
And it does I don't know. People talk about integrity of sports a lot of time, and I feel a disingenuous way. But I think this is a genuine issue of if all of the players in every sport are gambling OD, then it does kind of ruin some of the. You're like, oh, did you mean to lose that game? Did you mean to win? Was that cheating? Yeah. Because that's why we love sports. That's not scripted.
Exactly. Well, I don't know. It's slowly becoming that, but
yeah.
But we'll continue to follow the story, see what happens.
But I think before we sign off, I think we can connect this Shohei story to the very first story we had today at NCAA. Man, it's when private equity just starts coming into everything, it only benefits the investors. It doesn't benefit the fans. It doesn't benefit the players. Doesn't benefit the public. It's just that's what happens when we marry things that should be about people and the public to private investment and stuff. Right. It sucks the soul out of everything. But on that kind of dreary note, what's always going to have soul? WBCR and Beyond the Box Score. You got anything you want to say, Sean?
We'll see you guys back next Monday. We'll update you guys on this Shohei Ohtani story, the NCAA tournament, probably some more NBA. And we'll catch you guys next week.
All right. See you later, guys. Signing off.